Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the Evening Review. My name is Jemima Bierkes, your host this evening. Now, with the election fever sweeping across the continent, we're stopping by Botswana, who held their elections, their general elections, today, 30 November. Now, to help us unpack the situation in Botswana, we have in studio Dr. Marius Kudumo. He is a public policy analyst. Thank you for joining us in studio, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me.
Doctor, now with the Botswana Democratic Party nearly being in government for nearly 60 years, continuous years, what do you think does this indicate for that country's democracy?
Yeah, I think when you look at Botswana, it has been described as a stable democracy. It is a country with strong institutions. But you need also to look at it in terms of the history of the country, the way how the country got their independence, as well as the focus of the leadership after independence. I think there have been a lot of focus on public service, whether it is education, whether it's improving rural development, whether it is in your health system, and also building the economy. And generally, when people are overall satisfied, that reflects itself in the elections. But the dominant governing system in Botswana, one party governing, can actually be ascribed to the history of the country, the culture of the people, as well as generally the government focusing on the social welfare of the people.
Speaking about the social welfare, Botswana has for long been known as the diamond-rich country and one of the richest countries in southern Africa. Now, it is also facing an uphill battle now with synthetic diamonds. And we are seeing increasing unemployment in that country, especially youth unemployment. What do you think? Do you think this will play out?
Yeah, it will play itself out in the elections. For example, Afrobarometer have released their survey for 2024 about Botswana. And the three main issues of concern to the citizens, firstly, is unemployment. Secondly, is the health system. And thirdly, is crime and violence. Obviously, these issues will play itself in the elections. For example, unemployment, like unemployment among the youth, is very high, like in Namibia.
Yes.
And obviously, people vote because there is an expectation that their material condition will change. I think these will be the major issues in this election.
Speaking about material improvements, why do you think, because like you've said, these concerns have been coming on for some time now, a few years now. Why do you think the BDP has gotten such a very good victory in the last elections then?
Yeah, I think generally they have some trust amongst the people. But when you followed this campaign and these elections, there are also level of dissatisfactions. Some of them on the governance area, some of them in terms of the performance of the economy, especially the dominance of focusing on the diamond industry without diversifying the economy, the impact of climate change in terms of the drought. When you look at Botswana as an agriculture production country, so even if the governing party was in power for such a long time, you cannot take it for granted. Mm-hmm. Firstly, the dynamics of the population is changing. The people that were there at independence and the people that were there when maybe unemployment and the other factors were not factors, are actually few, and the young population are coming up, and they are the ones that are faced with this unemployment. So you can't take it for granted. The political dynamics are influenced by what is happening in society, the satisfaction level of the citizens. But previously, the government was performing according to the voters. That's why they kept them in power. But you can't take it for granted that it will be so all over the years.
Doctor, Botswana is also very well known for having a very, very strong army presence and influence throughout the government. And you speaking about the increased youth unemployment, the youth becoming impatient about these problems. Do you think we'll see this play out, or do you think the strong hand of the army would still keep them back?
Yeah, I think you have also to some extent a professional army. There are reasons why the military involved in the political spheres. There are theories about it. One of it is what they call the winter of discontent. Yes. When the dissatisfaction in the population is very high, the military comes in to say they are restoring order. Mm-hmm. My professor used to say the problem is when they tested power, they don't leave, because they come to restore order and to leave. So the other theory is, of course, what I have explained, that they are there to restore order, especially the democratic order and so on. But I don't think for now that the military want to be dominant in the political sphere. Mm-hmm. I think they will adhere to a civilian government. But you can't guarantee it. If the situation comes worse, like I explained, there are also, some say also there's opportunism in the military, also some who want to come to power and so on and so on. But I think for now, generally it is stable.
Going back on opportunism and in the army, Dr. Ian Khama, former president of Botswana, is also now coming back, although he can't run for elections because the constitution does not allow for that again. What do you think does this mean? What are the implications of Khama's return to politics, and especially for President Masisi's re-election?
I think there is a grievance between him and the current president. There was a fallout. Yes. There are various explanations what caused this fallout. But basically, he has a grievance against the current president. And I think he wants to influence the political direction in Botswana. When you listen to some of the commentary that they have been making, is Botswana is becoming undemocratic, it's an uncaring government and all those. But my view is the influence will not be that significant. We'll see it in the results. But one thing that we must not rule out is that the former president is coming from a royal family. Yes. There might be some support base based on that royalty. And obviously, there might be people who benefited from his patronage when he was a president that actually are loyal to him, or there might be people who feel the country is moving in the wrong direction. But it's only the election that will tell us what has been his influence on this politics. But my personal view is we must learn in Africa to come and serve and live and let other people come in, because there's no one who have the wisdom and all the powers to govern. So we'll see with this result whether his influence is still a factor in Botswana politics or not.
So, say hypothetically, his influence turns out to not be that significant, and yes, many experts are also just calling it a feud. But the horse that he's backing, one of the opposition presidential candidates, what can he do? He that is Khama, if they get a number of seats, do you see him return from exile? What do you see Khama doing, even though he's the person that he's running, that he supports, won't win?
Yeah, I think he's still loyal to the country. I don't think he want to be in exile in South Africa. He want to come back. But maybe him going to South Africa was also a political strategy because he have come back home during these elections. But we'll see whether he want to be a member of parliament or actively involved in the politics or not. But I think that has implications because former presidents have privileges that they enjoy. Now, if you come back to politics, do you still retain those privileges or are they taken away from you? And what happens when your party is not doing well? That's why I personally believe that people must have their time serve and create other avenues in which still to serve. You have seen it, for example, with President Sisano and others who are in conflict mediation and conflict resolution activities in SADC and the African Union and so on. I think there are many other opportunities than just being a president or influencing future direction.
Now, of course, there is an election and we don't know how it will turn out. How, in your view, might a change in leadership in Botswana affect its relations with neighboring countries like Namibia, especially in terms of economic collaboration and political stability?
I do not think so, because states operate at different levels. A government is not a state. A government comes and goes, and some of the activities of government and some of positions of government remain. When you look at the economic relationship between Namibia and Botswana, some of them are out of necessity. For example, Botswana is a landlocked country. They need ports for them to export and for them to import. That obviously will create a relationship. And also there are cultural affinities. You have Botswana in Namibia, or Botswana speaking persons in Namibia, and you have the Botswanas. They are family relationships. So a change of government will not immediately take away those affinities. But it will also depend. The issue is just the level of this relationship. Like with the current president and the late president, this relationship, although they were state relationships, they were deep, they were also at personal level in terms of the vision that they had for their countries. So I don't think that those relationships will go away, but maybe it's a matter of priorities of the incoming government. So the current government, you see a lot of infrastructure development that they want to, and they have explained it why they want it, because it's to have access to the port,
Yes.
and so on and so on. So I don't see major political shift, a major shift in the relationship. But you don't predict with certainty in international relations. It's fluid. Anything can happen.
All right. We'll go for a short break and then we'll be right back on this. We'll be back right down.
Exciting news, Namibia. PSTBet has launched its brand new website, www.pstbet.na. To celebrate, PSTBet is offering a 100% bonus on all first deposits when you open your pstbet.na account. That's not all. Bet for as low as $1 Namibian, enjoy the best odds, live cash outs, and you can have 50 events on one ticket. With a new user-friendly interface, max bets up to $10,000 Namibian. Why watch when you can play at pstbet.na? Experience the future of betting. Bet responsibly, not for persons under the age of 18. Visit our Facebook page, PSTBet. You play, we pay.
I'm sure you've heard the news, and Namibia is calling. And it's time to answer with a smile. From the rolling sand dunes of Sossusvlei to the wildlife wonders of Etosha National Park, Namibia is a treasure trove of natural beauty and adventure. With Enjoy, booking the most renowned lodges is as easy as a desert breeze. Picture yourself sipping coffee on a deck, watching the sunrise, paint the sky in hues of gold and orange? Or how about a thrilling safari capturing memories that'll last a lifetime? Our easy-to-use website hosts the most beautiful lodges Namibia has to offer. Whether you crave luxury or a cozy hideaway, we've got you covered. So pack your bags and let's turn your dream adventure into reality. Namibia awaits, and with Enjoy, your perfect stay is just a click away.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toivon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. The Agenda aims to reach high-end news consumers seeking informed understanding of national issues. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com, and the Namibia Media Holdings Facebook platform. The Agenda focuses on interviews where we put the nation in the hot seat. Contact Agenda at synergy.com.na to get your product and service in the hot seat. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Welcome back. Now, if you've just joined us, we're talking to public policy analyst Dr. Marius Kudumo. We're talking about the elections in Botswana that took place today. Now, Doctor, before we went on a break, you were talking about how international relations are fluid. Now, in the past, the previous president, Dr. Ian Khama in Botswana, was very close to the Western powers, whereas his successor now, Dr. Masisi, President Masisi, has reached out to the eastern parts of the world, like China and Russia. What do you think would this election mean, and what implications would it have on international relations as opposed to just the regional relations?
Yeah, like you're saying, the current president was open-minded in terms of the international relations. Who are the countries that he is supposed to be associated with and forward strategic interests? So if he's coming to power, the economic diversification of Botswana will be a major priority of government, especially the diamond industry in terms of value addition. Obviously, whoever offers them the best option, they will go for it. Like I've indicated, as a result of COVID, job losses and the youth unemployment, I think skills development, especially in targeted areas, will be a priority. And obviously, they will go for the country that offers what they want in terms of their strategic direction of the country. You must remember that the governing party, in terms of their manifesto, is actually admitting that there are changes that are required in the political, social, economic spheres of Botswana. So the friendship will be a mix depending on the strategic interests that they want to advance.
Like you've said, yes, in fact, BDP has been campaigning under the theme, We Want Change. In conclusion, what do you think are the changes that Botswana need at this point and that you would believe the new government would bring usher in?
For me, diversity is important. One dominant party, it's not sufficient in the current democratic dispensation. And the reason for that is simple. Diversity brings about different experiences, different views, and therefore, if it is used properly, it can lead to evidence-based and impactful type of policies and strategic direction. So I'm thinking that the governing party will win this election, perhaps with some reduced votes. And the reason for that is, although people are dissatisfied, people need change, there's also this challenge of what is the available options that are there. The opposition has been described as fragmented and so on. But really, in a constitutional democracy, you want this diversity, different political parties participating in parliament. And you want consensus building type of politics. What is in the best interest of the country? And how can we work together to serve the people to the best of our abilities? So I think out of this election, whoever wins, there will be this realization of diversification of the economy, responding to ensuring that public services are efficient and effective, and also paying particular attention to the issues of the youth. And a parliament that is diverse, representative of the various political parties, and that is based on consensus building and what is in the best interest of the country, is, I hope, what will emerge out of this election.
Doctor, yes, I said in conclusion, but just one last thing. So in Botswana, there is like you've said, the influence of the royal family. How do you see them moving away from that royal family influence when you talk about the need for diversity, because that is deep-rooted influence? And what lessons are there for Namibia that does not necessarily have a royal, that does not have the same kind of structure that influences?
Yeah, when you look at the Botswana parliament, we only focus on the elected parliament. They also have a council of traditional leader type of. And Botswana have managed to blend the modern state with the traditional system of governance. And I think it's doing well for them. But the issue is just like you are saying. So the royal family have not that been so influential that they dictate the political affairs, because there is a house for the traditional leaders in which they are dealing with advising government on culture and other things. But they managed to blend a modern state with the traditional powers and authority. But obviously, in a constitutional democracy, the rights of the individual supersedes the royal houses and others. So it's managing this difference between appreciating the values, the cultures, the communities, but within in a modern state. I think they have managed it well, but we will just see. But I think one of the things that Namibia can learn from Botswana is just the focus on what is important. Those that are observant will note that after independence, immediately after independence, especially in the education sector, where I have been, there have been many people from Botswana coming to learn from us. Obviously, we were even sending people to Botswana to train their inspectors and so on. You don't see it anymore. They have mastered, they have learned, they have understood that the world in which we are living is a global competitive world, and knowledge and skills are critical. So they are funding their people to be global competitive, and they know the priorities of government that could serve the people. I think that's one lesson that we can learn. Strategic positioning in this global competitive world.
Thank you very much for joining us and for your insight, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in. Good night.